Good evening, everybody. I hope you all can hear me. Um, would be great if you could just give a thumbs up or let me know. All right, great. Thank you so much. First of all, thank you for joining us today. And I hope we have a great session. I hope you take real life value and are able to apply in your own journeys. We have a lot of people joining us today. So let's get started. We have our CEO and co-founder, Mr. Ritvik Dashora, who is also a CFA and an avid trader with more than a decade of experience. So he will be taking your webinar today. Thank you so much. And it would be great if you guys can come on video, so that we know that, because we want this session to be as interactive as possible rather than just us talking and you listening. So thank you so much for whoever is coming online. Thank you.
Hello, can you guys hear me? Perfect. I request all of you guys to keep your camera on because this is going to be a very engaging and very interesting session. Fundamental analysis has been one of the most boring topics in the world of finance. I pursued CFA charter holder, and financial analysis, the financial statement analysis has been one of the most boring chapter for me as well, right? So in order to make it very interesting, we have a plan for this webinar. For that, if you guys can actually keep the camera on, that would be very helpful. Cool. I think, Gullar, let's wait for 3-4 minutes because I can see that many people are joining right now. I don't want new people miss out on the content. So let's just wait for three more minutes. Let's start at 5, right?
Sure. Perfect.
Let's just wait for 1 more minute and then we'll start. Cool. I think let's start, Gulab. Perfect. First of all, thank you so much, everyone, for taking out the time on a weekday. We are in Tuesday, or abhi hum sabhi at 5 o'clock. We all are listening to me talking about fundamental analysis. That's very interesting. So I'll just quickly share you my story of how I did all the entire educational qualification and eventually got some professional experience as well. So currently, my name is Ritvik Dashora. I'm a CFA charter holder, and currently I'm serving as as the CEO and co-founder of Tradomate.one. I'm a CFA charter holder and an engineering graduate from NIT Bhopal to 2011-2015 batch. And I think most of you guys would be much younger than me. But yeah, because of this, I have more than 10 years of experience in the field of finance, mostly into investment banking. So that would be the motive for this session as well. I would like to show you how we investment bankers do fundamental analysis in the real world, right? I have experience in financial modeling and trading as well. Have been a national champion of Mastermind Abacus 2009, and mostly worked for multiple startups in the past. With my last work experience has been with Deserve, where I was leading the investments team. It's a wealth management a startup based out of Mumbai, and now we at Tradomate.one are building multiple tools for traders. It's basically a trading ecosystem where all different investors or traders do different types of analysis on the platform and eventually I would say make some better trading or investing decisions, right? My post graduation has been in masters in advanced finance from IE Business School, Spain, major in fintech. So if some of you guys are planning to do masters, say from Spain, please feel free to reach out to me. I did it the major was in fintech. So main focus was actually on how to implement technology in finance, and that actually helped me to make a path of how actually I can envision this particular industry. And that's how I created my YouTube channel, which is Financial Programming with Ritvik. It was back in at the time of COVID. The main motive here was to teach some sort of programming to traders and to the finance professionals in a way that they optimize and automate their analysis, right? That's the main motive. Now, why did I start this thing? Because I'm not a coder myself. As I already mentioned, I'm a mechanical engineer from NIT Bhopal. And but when I was in, sorry, Tushar, can you mute yourself? Excuse me, Tushar, can you please, Tushar Mishra, can you please mute yourself? Cool. Yeah, so the main focus of YouTube channel was to actually educate the finance professionals on how to do some sort of coding in a way that they understand the world of technology as well. And that's how I started getting a lot of interest and passion in the world of fintech. In the first 3 years itself, I built multiple trading bots for clients internationally. The focus was to build trading strategies, not sell my strategies, to help traders build their strategies, automate it, building a trading bot out of it, and integrate it with broker APIs and execute the orders automatically. So that was the main focus. I built multiple projects, and that's how I started getting interest into the field of algo trading. When I joined Deserve, I was leading the investments team. I built the entire product from scratch, starting from the distribution model, mutual fund distribution, extended to the portfolio management services, and we built a very famous app called Wealth Monitor app. My co-founder Yashu was also working with Deserve. He was leading the tech team, and that's how we got connected. The third co-founder, Satyam, has been into the world of AI and product. So that's how like we three got connected and started building Tradomate.one. So that's a quick background about myself, my co-founders, and Tradomate. With my experience of YouTube, of masters in advanced finance, my engineering as well, and the experience that I had at investment banking, I started having this mindset that actually a lot of the things which are boring especially in the world of fundamental analysis, can actually made very, very interesting by some sort of automation, by some sort of smart trading, or sorry, smart analysis. And that's what we are going to cover in this particular webinar, right? Quickly going through my CFA journey, CFA being the most prestigious qualification. If you talk about fundamental analysis, I think most of you guys would be interested in pursuing CFA, or might have heard, at least might have heard about CFA Institute. So a quick, like the people who don't know about CFA, CFA is basically a certification where we need to clear 3 exams, need to have some experience in a way that we get the CFA charter holder from the CFA Institute USA, and that charter holder actually plays a very important role. It has a very high weight on your credentials. So how did I pursue CFA? As I have been I was pursuing my engineering. मैं तो कभी finance में रहा नहीं. So how I started thinking about my CFA. When I was in third year, I started a small venture. It's basically food delivery service. Back in I think 2013. At that time, we had no Zomato, Swiggy. It was just Domino's. And हमारे college में actually there was a problem of ragging. I think if you guys are aware about ragging, it's an old concept now, thankfully. But at that time, NIT Bhopal was one of the most unpopular institutions because of ragging, right? And that's why we started thinking about, let's at least solve this problem where the first year students don't go outside to have food. And that's how we created this online food delivery service in the college itself. वहां से actually I started getting interest into the field of business and finance. I started preparing for CFA level 1 when I was in final year itself. Cleared the exam without any tuition, without any guidance. It was very difficult for me. But yeah, the negative side of it is that I didn't participate in the campus recruitment, campus placement, and that's why I was unplaced. I was the only unplaced guy in NIT Bhopal who had a CGPA of more than 8. But yeah, that was the story. Then I came to Mumbai, started applying for some internships. Then I got a job offer in Pune, which is basically SG Analytics. I think abhi bhi hai ye company. It's into KPO. I worked for multiple financial modeling roles. At that time, I started preparing for CFA level 2 because it was very much related to what I was doing at that time. And I always wanted to go into the field of investment banking. क्योंकि यहीं पर most of the fundamental analysis implement होता है, right? So CFA level 2, started preparing for CFA level 2 in 2015-16, cleared the level 2, and then I shifted to Gurgaon, started working for investment banking role, cleared the CFA level 3 exam as well. After getting some amount of experience into the field of investment banking, I applied for the charter holder and I got the CFA charter holder. That's my journey of CFA. Now, why did I tell you about this? I think because we are doing this event with IIT Guwahati. First of all, thank you so much, IIT Guwahati, for helping us organize this event, this webinar for you guys. I shared this story with all of you guys because I think we have, like, we can see that we have more than 550 enrollments for this particular webinar. It's easy to say that we have a lot of people who are interested to pursue something in the same direction as well from in the professional world as well, right? And CFA is one of the most prestigious thing, and that's the reason I think most of you guys would be already interested in pursuing CFA as well. So what are we going to cover in this particular session? Whatever knowledge that I got through CFA and through the professional experience, we are going to talk about that. The first thing. I think I already got this information that this is a proper boot camp for you guys. So अगर आप लोगों ने पूरा attend किया है, so you would already know a lot about fundamental analysis. So I'm not going into the basics of fundamental analysis. The main focus here will be how investment bankers and how investment banks do valuation, right? Do investment portfolio creation. And nowadays, how these people have started integrating technical analysis and sentiment analysis as well with fundamental analysis to get even better decisions, right? In the end, my approach, so there are two approaches for this particular webinar, a practical approach and a theoretical approach. ठीक है ना? And when I was making these slides, I was thinking कि यार मैं कौन सा अप्रोच अपनाऊं. Theoretical is something that I think आपने already काफी लोगों ने देखा होगा through boot camps, through some other webinars as well. And I think वो boring होता है. Let's not go with that. I'm very much interested in the practical approach where we'll be talking about my experience, where we'll be talking about how we used to do valuation and different sorts of analysis in investment banking roles, in asset management, in wealth management, right? So these are some of the steps that you need to follow for this session. The first thing is, please sit in a quiet place for the next 1 hour. We are going to do a lot of analysis, and I don't want you to attend this session while doing some other work. अगर आप प्लीज कुछ और काम कर रहे हैं तो प्लीज लीव दिस सेशन. You have to sit for 1 hour just for this particular webinar. Second is, you should have your computer ready, laptops, computers, because we'll be doing some live analysis. The third thing is, always have your notebook. Even I have my notebook. If you ask some questions, you should always also have a notebook for some sorts of notes or whatever thing that you might find interesting in this session. The Q&A will be in the end because we have a lot of enrollments in this webinar. We are not going to do it in the mid of the webinar itself. Let's keep it in the end. The last thing is, I am going to refer a lot of information from Tradomate website, which is our startup, Tradomate.one. It's a free tool. So please sign in to this particular platform, Tradomate.one. I'll post the link of this just 1 second. Where's the comment section? Yeah, cool. So you can see the link of to sign in with the platform. Now, why I want you to sign in with this with Tradomate, because I am going to refer a lot of information from this website for multiple tools. Okay, so let's do one thing. I'm starting this timer of 1 minute. You have 60 seconds to sign into the platform. We are going to refer a lot of things for fundamental analysis, even some sort of technical and sentiment analysis as well. Please go to the link which is in the chat box and sign in. It's free of cost. I'm not asking for you to pay any money to me, right? Let's just wait for 30 more seconds. Please do it quickly. You can directly sign in with Google as well, or you can do it with through email address as well. That's very, very important. If you guys are not interested to do that, again, you won't be understanding anything in this session. Please check out the chat box. I have pasted a link over there. Click on it and sign in at Tradomate.one, because we are going to refer a lot of information from this website. Perfect. The link is already there. Whenever you have time, please do it as soon as possible. Let's move ahead with the next slide. Cool. Now, how does an investor's journey look like? If you have not yet signed in, please do it while I'm speaking. This slide is a bit easy, so it's absolutely fine even if you just listen. So there are multiple sorts of layers for any analysis in the world of investments. Please don't write done here, because if more than 269 to 280 people start writing done here on the chat box, it will be flooded. So just do it, and that's it. Cool. An investor's journey or a trader's journey starts with the top level thing, which is, it can be a macroeconomic aspect, it can be sector analysis, it can be some sort of demography analysis, XYZ, right? The most important or the most used top layer analysis is sector analysis. जब भी मैं कुछ analysis करता हूँ, for example, I want to create a portfolio. I want to do some valuation and create an investment portfolio for myself. The first thing that I would be doing is I will do sector analysis of all the sectors that I'm interested in. For example, I'm interested in, say, automobile, because of some trade actions which are happening between US and India. The first thing that I'll do is do analysis on the automobile sector. Now, this funnel starts with the sector analysis. Then we identify top stocks from that particular sector. For example, in automobile sector, I might be interested in, say, Mahindra and Mahindra or Bajaj Auto. Now, how to identify these top stocks as per our philosophy, we'll come to that part. Then we do detailed analysis on it. What type of analysis? Again, we'll do it. Please stay tuned. And then in the end, we finalize our decision. We make some informed investment decisions. That's the journey. Please keep it in your mind. This is the approach that we are going to follow whenever we do any sort of investment analysis or trading analysis or anything in the world of finance. Perfect. Now let's move to the next slide. How does the traditional analysis look like right now? I have spoken to many fund managers. I think, a couple of weeks ago, I was speaking to Mr. Gaurav Misra from Nippon, fund manager, and we were just talking about how people used to do trade analysis traditionally. So this is the exact procedure. The first thing is we go through all the financial reports. Now, the biggest problem here is there are more than 100 pages in these particular reports, but we have to go through it. The second is we check the news articles. The problem here is that one analyst would say buy, another one would say sell, which is a problem. किसको मैं follow करूं? मुझे उनके ऊपर भी analysis करनी पड़ेगी. If I need to do analysis on the analysis recommendation, then what type of analysis is this? Then the third thing is we have to go through the SEBI filings. There might be some of the things which are not covered in the financial reports, annual reports, but are covered in the SEBI filings. The last thing is we watch some YouTube reviews, some videos in a way that we get some information directly. Now, this is where most of the investors or traders actually get misinformation, because there are many YouTubers, many Telegram channels where people do provide a lot of tips, right, which is not good. We are doing fundamental analysis workshop here. There's a fundamental analysis webinar. So we need to understand that we should not follow these people who provide tips. Right? Watching YouTube videos of educators like me, for example, I don't give tips. I teach programming. It is good. But if someone is just saying, say, buy ICICI or sell Nifty options, वो चीज प्लीज मत कीजिए, because all everything requires a proper detail analysis. And what type of analysis that we need to do, what is the correct way, exact way of fundamental analysis, is this one. The first thing that we need to focus on is the data collection. Now, data collection not only covers gathering all types of data, it also covers things like having a reliable data in a way that whatever analysis that we do, it's absolutely correct. ऐसा तो नहीं data ही गलत है. So reliability is important. Frequency of data is important. And the third thing is basically how any sort of projections, any sort of simulations that we are getting through the data provider, ये भी बहुत important है. Three things. The first thing is reliability. Second is frequency. Third thing is any sort of prediction or analysis. Mostly the third layer should be on us only, but some of the data providers do some sort of analysis as well and prediction as well. So we need to focus on the reliability of that. That's one thing. Second is the valuation methodologies. I think most of you guys have already gone through multiple classes through this boot camp. So let me know by reacting through emojis or something over here. How many of you guys know about things like DCF valuation or any sort of valuation models? Can you just do a thumbs up or something? Is it possible on Zoom?
Yes, and we did get the response that they're learning. What about
Good.
everyone else?
I just want to know how much information do you already have. Accordingly, I'll cover that particular section. मैं कितना deep जाना है उसमें सारी चीजें बताऊँ. Most of you guys have already got some sort of an understanding of these types of things like DCF valuation and multiples, LBOs. LBOs बहुत interesting topic है. Please stay tuned to it. It's called leverage buyout. काफी ज़्यादा बढ़िया valuation model है recent timings में. I don't know if you
Yeah.
can erase this, Gulnar. Someone has by mistakenly
Oh,
did something.
okay. Yeah, I can
Is
try
it a
that.
way to?
You
Should
can
I let me just
you just need to reshare the screen again. Also, there are a
please?
couple of people on the chat who have mentioned that they do not know.
It's fine. ठीक है, ठीक है. मैं I'll try to cover some basics, but I'll go deeper into it. थोड़ा सा ध्यान से आप प्लीज नोट्स बनाते जाना. Right, and please make sure you don't write anything on the on Zoom. I don't know ये feature क्यों है इनका, but anyways. So the second layer, the second step is basically valuation methodologies, DCF, multiples, LBUs. We'll be talking about these three valuations models. The third thing is football field analysis. आई थिंक मैं 100% श्योर हूँ मोस्ट ऑफ यू गाइस वुड नॉट नो अबाउट इट, बिकॉज ये इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकिंग का एक प्रोसीजर होता है. ये हम लोग इसके ऊपर डिटेल डिस्कशन करेंगे. द लास्ट थिंग इज इन्वेस्टमेंट पोर्टफोलियो क्रिएशन, विच इज बेसिकली ऑप्टिमाइजिंग सम ऑफ द फाइनेंशियल मेट्रिक एंड क्रिएटिंग द पोर्टफोलियो. दीज आर द फोर मेन स्टेजेस ऑफ एनी पोर्टफोलियो क्रिएशन. ये जितने भी फंड मैनेजर्स आप देख रहे हैं, भले HDFC में हो या फिर निपॉन में हो या फिर मेराई में हो, दीज आर द फोर मेन segments of any sort of analysis and eventually coming to a portfolio creation methodology, right? Now let's start with all these things one by one. Let's see what do I mean by data collection. These are the 7 most important aspects that we need to understand. The first thing is financial statements. We'll see what type of financial statements are important. Second is economic indicators, very important considering the recent significant volatility in the geopolitics. Right, we've seen some news of Donald Trump on tariff versus India as well. We have seen Jane Street का जो news था वो भी हुआ था. So there are a lot of things, economic indicators, some news, annual reports, company filings, news and media, analyst report, and industry reports. These are the main 7 most important metrics that we need to chase for any sort of fundamental analysis. The most important things here are financial statements, company filings, and industry reports. ये 3 चीजें सबसे ज़्यादा important होती है. Now let's talk about the most important, most referred valuation model. I think you already know मैं क्या बात करने वाला हूँ. It's called DCF valuation. Some of the guys have mentioned that they don't know about DCF, so I'll quickly cover it. Cover what is DCF valuation, and eventually we'll see how investment bankers do DCF valuation, how in practical world we do DCF valuation, क्योंकि theoretically तो बहुत सारी चीजें होती है. For the people who don't know about DCF valuation, it's called discounted cash flow. What we do here is the assumption here is that the company's valuation is equal to the discounted value of the future cash flows of any company. मैं आपको example देता हूँ. For example, Gulnar has a phone, right? And I get some earnings from her phone. For example, मैं example दे रहा हूँ. Now I need to I need to evaluate the price of that phone, right? Now just imagine उसका कुछ transaction अभी नहीं हो रहा है. तो मैं कैसे evaluate करूंगा? मैं ये evaluate करूंगा कि मुझे क्या क्या cash flows मिल रहा है उस phone से. And eventually with time the value of those cash flows will go down because time value of money, given the inflation, opportunity cost, other things as well. So eventually overall मतलब अगर ये चीज ये cash flows indefinitely चलते जाता है, discounting all the value back to today's price, today's date, for example, जो भी value बनेगा, I'll offer that value to Gulnaz for. It is exactly what is discounted cash flow valuation. Now there are 2 types of DCF valuation. The first thing is dividend discount model. Second is discounted cash flow, जो हमने अभी already देखा. Dividend discount क्या है कि यार, for example, if say I invest in ONGC. अब ONGC क्या है? ONGC is a very old company, not a lot of growth prospects. जो जैसा business चलते आ रहा है ऐसे चलते रहेगा. So I can say that जो भी dividends मुझे वहां से मिल रहे हैं फ्रॉम ONGC, उन डिविडेंड्स को अगर मैं फ्यूचर में प्रोजेक्शंस करूंगा, उन डिविडेंड्स को डिस्काउंट बैक करूंगा आज की डेट पे, तो जो भी वैल्यू आएगी आई कैन एक्चुअली ऑफर द एग्जैक्ट सेम वैल्यू टू ONGC, विच इज डिस्काउंट डिविडेंड डिस्काउंट मॉडल. बट इफ यू टॉक अबाउट से टेस्ला और एप्पल, एप्पल तो इतनी बड़ी कंपनी, राइट? टेस्ला इतनी बड़ी कंपनी, $1 trillion. These companies have never offered any dividends so far. They have a lot of cash in on their balance sheets, but कभी dividends आए नहीं. So dividend discount model cannot be applied on these types of companies. But एक्चुअली देखा जाए तो आज की तारीख में यही कंपनी सबसे ऊपर है. Then comes the discounted cash flow valuation, where we discount the future cash flows, जो मैंने आपको explain किया था. Now what is that this future cash flow? There are two types of cash flows that we guys consider in investment banking. The first thing is free cash flow to equity, and the second is free cash flow to firm. Free cash flow to firm, जो नाम सुन के लग रहा है कि what is the exact cash flow in the firm? Now this cash flow can be to the equity holders, to the debt holders as well, right? Free cash flow to equity is the cash flow only to the equity holders. Now, just to understand it better, on the bottom side, you can see a table over here, right? This table, on the left hand side, you can see all the metrics that we look for in the free cash flow to firm. The first one is operating income. It's also called EBIT, earning before interest and tax. Earning before interest and tax has to be adjusted with the tax, because tax is something which will anyways go out of our pocket. So EBIT multiply by 1 minus tax. जो भी यार अगर हम earning हम कर रहे हैं, tax तो देना ही है. We follow, the world follows accrual accounting, which is basically we account for the things which have just been I would say realized. They are not yet I would say earned directly in cash flows. I'll just give an example. Say um, receivables, right? For example, I'm selling this particular bottle, right? I sold it to Gulnar, and Gulnar will give me money next year, but I sold it to her, right? ये मेरा एक वो एक क्रेडिट का एक वो चल रहा है अकाउंटिंग अलग से. In this case, I'll show a revenue of this particular bottle in my books, although मुझे अभी तक कैश फ्लो मिला नहीं. This particular methodology is called accrual accounting. Now, because there is an accrual accounting, we need to have some adjustment, because यहाँ पर तो हम कैश फ्लो की बात कर रहे हैं, यहाँ पे तो हम accrual accounting की बात कर नहीं रहे. So what are these things that needs to be adjusted in the world of cash flow? Things like depreciation and amortization. This doesn't exist in cash flow. Now, what is depreciation? For example, I'm using this laptop, this company laptop. This laptop will get depreciated. Say in next 10 years, I won't be able to use it. So the value of this laptop is depreciating for the next 10 years. It can be evenly distributed. It can be some other model as well. But the thing is, ये जो depreciation है ये मैं इसमें adjust करता रहूँगा. This is exact depreciation. Although cash flow कुछ हुआ नहीं है, but this is considered. But because cash flow कुछ हुआ नहीं है, in order to calculate the cash flow, we need to adjust it. We need to add it. The third thing that we add is the working capital, change in working capital. Now, this is also something that we already have in our books, which is say some cash, some inventory, some account receivable, etc. I'm not going deeper into the world of accounting, but this also needs to be adjusted. The last thing here is we subtract the capital expenditure here to calculate the free cash flow to firm. Now, as it says free cash flow to firm, it's basically cash flow to both the equity holder and debt holders. For equity holder, we'll have to adjust the interest cost as well.
मेरे को एक मिनट आगे देखने दो बेटा. Good.
Cool. So what we are doing here is we are calculating the cash flow for 2023, 2024, 2025, 2026, and 2027. You can see ये सारे real numbers है, by the way. You can see that we have different cash flows in all the years from 2023 to 2027. Now, in the end, we need to calculate a terminal value, which is basically a specific value that I would like to that I actually I can say कि यार ये particular value मुझे मिल जाएगा by 2027. So this is the exact value. I'm not going deeper into the terminal value calculation and all, but the main idea is we calculate the value of all the cash flows after that. So just imagine 2027 के आगे जितने ज़्यादा cash flows है वो evenly distributed, evenly grow कर रहे होते. So what would be the value? यहाँ पर ये कैलकुलेट होता है, and then we do the entire discounting in a way that we calculate the value of the future cash flows, the present value of all the future cash flows, and that's exactly the value of the firm. Now, वैल्यू ऑफ द फर्म तो हम लोग थियोरेटिकल वर्ल्ड में कहते हैं. प्रैक्टिकल वर्ल्ड में एक इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकर दूसरे इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकर को क्या क्या कहेगा? एक इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकर दूसरे इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकर को कहेगा व्हाट्स द एंटरप्राइज वैल्यू. Now, this is also very interesting thing, which is enterprise value. उस पूरी कंपनी की वैल्यू कितनी है, इसका कैलकुलेशन कैसा होता है? द फर्स्ट थिंग दैट वी लुक फॉर, वो लाइक क्या क्या चीजें हैं एक कंपनी की वैल्यू क्रिएट करने के लिए? द फर्स्ट थिंग इज एक्विटी वैल्यू, द सेकंड थिंग इज सम डेट. नाउ अगर मैं कुछ बोलता हूँ, फॉर एग्जांपल आई हैव एन एक्विटी वैल्यू ऑफ से 1,000 रुपीज, आई हैव टेकन अ डेट ऑफ 100 रुपीज, बट आई ऑलरेडी हैव सम कैश ऑफ 50 रुपीज. सो अगर कुछ पॉसिबिलिटी आती है कि मुझे तुरंत इस कंपनी को सेल करना है, आई कैन यूज दिस कैश टू पे सम ऑफ द डेट एटलीस्ट, to reduce the debt from 100 to 50. So we subtract the cash from debt in order to calculate the enterprise value. In order to calculate the equity value, we do the exact opposite calculation. Cool. यहाँ पर enterprise value आया 16 something something. We add the cash. This is the gross. We subtract the debt, because of course debt has to be subtracted to come to the equity value. This is the equity value. If we divide it with the number of shares outstanding, which is 100 million in this case, we get to the value of share, which is basically, this is called a very interesting term if you're taking notes. This is called the intrinsic value of the company. This is intrinsic value of the share, right? 6.01 is the intrinsic value. If the market value, if the traded value is say $8, then in that case, I would say that ये overpriced है. And that's how analysts give recommendation that it is a sell. If the market price, current market price is say $4, and the intrinsic value, as we can see here, is $6, $6.01, we'll say that it's an undervalued stock, which is basically it has more potential value than the market is actually, I would say, providing it. And in that case, I will actually buy it. Mr. Warren Buffett, one of the biggest follower of value investing, has exact same philosophy, which is basically calculating the intrinsic value of the company, compare it with the market value. If the intrinsic value is more than the market value, we consider these stocks as value stocks, and we invest in those stocks. यहाँ पर लेफ्ट हैंड साइड पे कुछ और चीजें आपको दिख रही होगी. आई एम नॉट गोइंग डीपर इनटू इट, विच इज समथिंग कॉल्ड वैक assumptions. वैक इज वेटेड एवरेज कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल. आप लोगों ने कुछ लोगों ने पढ़ा है तो आपको पता होगा. इन ऑर्डर टू कैलकुलेट द प्रेजेंट वैल्यू ऑफ ऑल द फ्यूचर कैश फ्लोज, वी नीड टू कंसिडर एन इंटरेस्ट रेट, right? And for that thing, we consider weighted average cost of capital. The calculation of WACC is this one. It is, of course, calculated through both equity and debt segments, right? ये हो गया हमारा डीसीएफ वैल्यूएशन. अगेन नॉट गोइंग वेरी डीप इनटू इट, अदरवाइज ये पूरा सेशन इसमें चला जाएगा. नाउ कमिंग टू द सेकंड मॉडल, one of the most I would say used model into the world of investment banks, right? The DCF is mostly used in asset management companies. ट्रेडिंग कॉम्स एंड ट्रांजैक्शन कॉम्स मोस्टली यूज होता है इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंक्स में. ये एग्जैक्टली क्या है कि यार मुझे नहीं करना इतनी सारी एनालिसिस, भाई ये तो बहुत ज़्यादा डिफिकल्ट है. आई डोंट वांट टू कैलकुलेट द FCFF एंड डूइंग ऑल दीज थिंग्स, राइट? आई जस्ट वांट टू सी कि यार व्हाट इज हैपनिंग विद द अदर कंपनीज, related companies or the peer companies. If market is providing some sort of value to the peer companies, a similar sort of value would be provided with this company as well. Now, if I talk about say beverage company, मुझे beverage company का अगर valuation करना है, the best comparison would be considering all the related or peer beverage companies, Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, Dr. Pepper, Snapple Group, and so on, right? These are the companies that a beverage company can relate with. Although हो सकता है market share में थोड़ा सा ऊपर नीचे हो, but ठीक है, it's a very good estimate, it's a very good proxy. Now what we look for is something called financial ratios. Fundamental analysis के दो main segments होते हैं, right? The first segment is doing analysis directly in the books, which is income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow statement. Second is a bit easier, which is financial ratios. Things like PE ratio, earnings yield, dividend yield. Very famous, which is EV by EBITDA. शायद आपने शार्क टैंक में शायद सुना होगा आपका EBITDA कितना है, right? One of the most referred terminology in the world of finance, right? Mostly into the world of startups, right? So EV by EBITDA. EV by sales. Now, what is EV? We've already talked about it. It's called enterprise value. So, enterprise value by EBITDA, basically हम लोग क्या बोलना चाह रहे हैं कि कितनी वैल्यू इस enterprise की है, and what is the EBITDA? EBITDA is earning before interest, tax, depreciation and amortization. I was saying demonetization. Anyways, depreciation and amortization, right? It's basically the earning which is available to the business, EBITDA, right? So what are the earnings which are available to the business, and what is the enterprise value? We're actually just doing the comparison of that. So these are the four main metrics that we look for in the world of investment banking: EV by sales, EV by EBITDA, EV by EBIT, which is earning before interest tax, also known as operating income. And the last but not the least, and the most important ratio is P ratio. आपने आप में से काफी लोगों ने already सुना होगा price to earning ratio, right? So what we do here is we have all the companies on the left hand side. We extract all the data, the market related data and the financial data over here. We calculate the ratios of all these things. In सबका मैंने average निकाला, in सबका median निकाला. So we have a very good uh, um, uh, average, a very good benchmark that actually can be used as a proxy for another beverage company as well. So for example, if I have an EBITDA for another beverage company, and I know that the industry EBITDA, EV by EBITDA ratio is 13.2, right? Average EV by EBITDA ratio is 13.2. I'll just multiply this company's EBITDA and will come to the enterprise value. Simple, right? I can do the same thing with EV by sales, EV by EBIT, and P ratio as well. And this is what we do in trading comms and transaction comms. Now, ये मैंने दो चीजें लिखी है, trading comms and transaction comms. ये क्या चीजें हैं? Trading comms basically similar companies की comms is basically companies. Again, in the world of investment banking, we say comms. We are lazy guys, so we don't say companies. We just say comms, right? So trading comms, related companies, comparables or multiples, right? जो example आपके सामने है. Transaction comms, for example, say I'm doing some analysis of mergers and acquisition of any particular beverage company. Then for that particular thing, because I'm focusing on a transaction right now, for that particular thing, I will only consider the transactions that have happened in the past. इनमें से अगर किसी का मर्जर से एक्विजिशन पास्ट में हुआ है, उन्हीं के मैं रेशियोज में कंसिडर करूंगा रादर देन कंसिडरिंग ऑल ऑफ देम, राइट? ताकि वो बेसिकली एप्पल टू एप्पल कंपैरिजन हो जाए. सो ट्रेडिंग कॉम्स एंड ट्रांजैक्शन कॉम्स. Transaction, it can be any sort of transaction, mergers or acquisition, some debt restructuring, something related to debt capital markets or equity capital markets. It can be anything, right? Cool. So this is the second valuation model that we guys follow. The third one, very interesting. अभी आज के scenario में तो काफी ज़्यादा interesting है, especially in the world of small cap companies, in the world of private equities and startups as well, actually. Again, if you guys are planning to go to are targeting some sort of private equity firms, वहां पर आप कुछ roles में plan कर रहे हैं, you should be completely confident about LBO valuation, also known as leverage buyout, right? Now ये चीज क्या है? Again, very important guys, very important thing, LBO. आई थिंक आप में से कुछ लोगों ने ऑलरेडी इसके कुछ वीडियोस देखे होंगे एंड कंफ्यूज हो गए होंगे. इट्स एक्चुअली वेरी कंफ्यूजिंग कॉन्सेप्ट. मैं आपको एक बहुत ही इजी एग्जांपल से बताता हूँ, such that you will get a very good understanding about it. Please, Ganesh, can you please erase it? This is very annoying. Anyways, cool. So I'll give a very good example. Say, suppose I buy any particular property, for example, real estate. ठीक है ना? Say the price of that particular property is say 1 CR. और मैंने पूरा 1 करोड़ तो मैंने अपने जेब से डाला नहीं. What people do is they take loans, right? So for example, 50 लाख का मैंने लोन लिया, 50 लाख मैंने जेब से डाले, right? In next 5 years, my main focus here is to maximize the rental income, right? That's one thing. Second is increase the value of this particular property as much as possible. यही हम करते हैं in the end, right? हमने अगर आप में से आपके पेरेंट्स में से किसी ने अगर कुछ प्रॉपर्टीज खरीदी होगी, कुछ रेंट पे डाला होगा, तो हमारा यही मेन फोकस होता है कि रेंट जितना ज़्यादा हो उतना अच्छा, एंड वैल्यू उसकी जितनी बढ़ जाए, कैपिटल एप्रिसिएशन जितना ज़्यादा हो जाए उतना अच्छा. एंड से इन नेक्स्ट 5 years, you sell back that particular property and then earn a lot of money. जो हम लोग काम करते हैं प्रॉपर्टी बाइंग एंड सेलिंग में, एग्जैक्टली सेम काम होता है एलबीओ में, राइट? एंड इसी चीज को बड़ा कॉम्प्लिकेट करके लोग एक्सप्लेन करते हैं. इट्स एग्जैक्टली द सेम थिंग. सपोज बिफोर द ट्रांजेक्शन वी हैव $100 ऑफ एसेट्स एंड $100 ऑफ इक्विटी. So there is no liability in the books, right? मैं आता हूँ, मैंने बोला कि यार मैं $70 का मैंने लोन लिया फ्रॉम अ बैंक, $30 मैंने अपने जेब से डाला. आई आई I'm buying this particular company, right? Now, in next 5 years, I'll do anything which is legal, which is possible to increase the profits as much as possible, right? And in next 5 years, that's one thing. Second is जो भी अब यहाँ पर बेसिकली जैसे हम लोग रियल एस्टेट में बोलते हैं कि इसका कैपिटल एप्रिसिएशन हो, इन द वर्ल्ड ऑफ मर्जर्स एंड एक्विजिशन वी कॉल इट वैल्यूएशन मल्टीपल, राइट? विच इज बेसिकली कितने मल्टीपल में मैंने कंपनी खरीदी. मल्टीपल क्या होता है? ऑफ कोर्स बाय सेइंग मल्टीपल देयर हैज टू बी सम न्यूमरेटर एंड डिनोमिनेटर. So multiple is basically mostly referred to revenue. So over here you can see that the valuation multiple is 5x. It's basically 5 times revenue, right? So I would like to increase it as much as possible. I want to make it 10 times revenue, for example, right? When I sell it, that's one thing. Second is I will increase the revenue as much as possible. Third thing is the best possible scenario हो जाता है, I'll use the revenue that I'm making from that company to reduce my debt. ठीक है ना? तो मैंने जो लोन लिया, अगर मैं रियल एस्टेट के एग्जांपल में फिर से जाता हूँ, मैंने जो लोन लिया, मैं इतना रेंट करूंगा ताकि यार मैं पार्शली उस लोन का ये मैं पे कर दूं, बाकी कुछ मेरे जेब से जाएगा. दैट्स व्हाट वी डू इन द रियल एस्टेट ट्रांजैक्शंस एज वेल. दिस इज व्हाट दीज गाइज डू इन द मोस्टली द प्राइवेट इक्विटीज. ये प्राइवेट इक्विटी एग्जैक्टली सेम मॉडल करती है. आई थिंक मोस्ट ऑफ यू गाइज वुड नो व्हाट Elon Musk did with Twitter. It's exactly the same thing, right? In next 5 years, he'll make an exit with a lot of money. Over here, you can see that with this, with exact same numbers, we are getting an IRR, which is basically a return of more than 44%, which is a huge return, right? अगर मैं CAGR compounded annual growth rate और annual return 40% से ज़्यादा कमाता हूँ, it's an amazing business model, right? And that's what these private equities do. Now, 3 models. The first one is DCF. Second is multiples, trading comps, transaction comps. Third thing is LBO valuation. Now, you might be getting confused कि यार ऋत्विक यार you're talking about 3 different models. मैं कौन सा follow करूँ, right? And this is what happens in the world of investment banking as well, investment banks as well, right? So what we do here is something called football field chart analysis. I'm pretty sure that most of you guys would not know about it. So what we do is, ये basically this is not football जो हम लोग football हम refer करते हैं, it's basically American football. अगर हम American football का जो ground देखेंगे ना, वो ऐसे ही similar होता है ऊपर से अगर हम देखेंगे तो. So it's basically we do valuation using multiple methods. Now here जो example है, 52-week range लिया है, lowest, highest, that's one way. Second is equity research, some sort of research we came across with a range of between 15.93 to 19.09. We did EV by EBITDA trading comps. We did DCF valuation. We have a range. We have DCF with synergies. This one, say there is some sort of consolidation and we find some synergies. Of course, the valuation would be higher. We do LBO. It's over here. In this example, the LBO is complete. It is an outlier. And the last thing in this example that what we did is EV by last 12 months LTM EBITDA transaction comps. In last 12 months, whatever transactions happened in the industry, uska EV by EBITDA मैंने multiple लिया है, and then I did this analysis, and you can see that the current share price is somewhere around $17. But अगर मैं इन सब का एक एवरेज एक लाइन कहीं पे ड्रॉ करूं, it would be somewhere around 20, right? क्योंकि कुछ चीजें यहाँ पर है, but most of the things are on the right side of 17.3. So this example is a very good example of a undervalued stock. The market price is 17.3, but the valuation would be somewhere around 20. Right? जो आप एनालिस्ट रिपोर्ट देखते हैं CNBC पे या फिर कहीं भी देखते हैं, काफी लोग बोलते हैं कि यार इसका टारगेट प्राइस इतना है, राइट? आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट द ट्रेडर्स, आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट द रिसर्च एनालिस्ट. ये एग्जैक्टली जो टारगेट प्राइस आता है इसी तरह से एनालिसिस करने के बाद आता है, राइट? विद दिस, ये तो हो गया इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंक का काम, यहाँ पर उनका काम खत्म हो जाता है. Then comes the asset management or the wealth managers, right? Which is basically the investment portfolio creation. Now, ये काफ़ी थियोरेटिकल मॉडल है जो कि काफ़ी लोगों ने यूज़ किया था, समथिंग कॉल्ड एफिशिएंट फ्रंटियर. द डेफिनेशन ऑफ एफिशिएंट फ्रंटियर इज बेसिकली इफ यू look for the most optimized portfolio for all levels of risks. अगर आप वो प्लॉट करते हो रिस्क और रिटर्न को, in the end you will see that you'll see a curve like this one, right? ये एक theoretically proven एक methodology, एक philosophy है by Markowitz, right? But lot of fund managers right now also follow the exact same procedure, something called modern portfolio theory, right? So if we draw a line from a risk-free from this point on this, but I think most of you guys IIT गुवाहाटी से आप लोग तो आपको तो पता ही होगा कि टेंजेंट वगैरह बनता है, राइट? सो अगर हम यहाँ से लाइन ड्रॉ करेंगे, इस पे टेंजेंट बनेगा. दिस पर्टिकुलर पोर्टफोलियो इज कॉल्ड टेंजेंट पोर्टफोलियो. दिस line is called the capital market line. What fund managers do is find some portfolios on this particular segment, which is between the risk-free rate and the tangent portfolio, right? Why they look for a portfolio here? Because यहाँ पर mostly जो बॉन्ड फंड्स होते हैं वहाँ पे जाते हैं, यहाँ पर मोस्टली जो इक्विटी फंड्स होते हैं वो जाते हैं, और यहाँ पर बेसिकली द मोस्ट ऑप्टिमाइज फंड्स आ रहे हैं बिकॉज दिस हैज़ अ हायर रिटर्न देन द इवन द एफिशिएंट फ्रंटियर जो कि यहाँ पर है, right? At this level of risk, I'm having a portfolio which has a higher return than the efficient frontier itself, right? So yeah, these types of things that people do. But if we talk about the portfolio creation, एक बहुत ही frequently used methodology है asset management firms में, which is something called optimizing Sharpe ratio. Now, what it is basically having a let's say the first, if you remember मेरा जो एक वो जो funnel से अगर आपको ध्यान आ रहा हो तो the first process is to do sector analysis and then finding those stocks, right? So we'll come to the screener as well. We have a very interesting screener at Tradomate. We'll come to that part. So using a screener, we finalize say 5-6 stocks over here. What is the return, historical CAGR, historical compounded annual growth rate in say last 5 years? What is the standard deviation? I don't think I should explain what is standard deviation. If we calculate the risk adjusted return, now as the definition says, risk adjusted return, basically what is the level of return that I am earning through 1 unit by taking 1 unit of risk, right? Is called risk adjusted return. Say Titan, 12% in the standard deviation, which is risk, is a very good I would say representation of risk, is 9%, right? So 12% divided by 9% is the risk adjusted return. But you might be saying this thing that यार 12% by 9% it's fine, but 6% तो मैं anyways कमा रहा हूँ by investing in government bonds, right? So we need to adjust it with the return as well. So the risk adjusted return then becomes, which is also called the Sharpe ratio, the return of the portfolio or return of the stock is CAGR of the stock or estimated return of the stock minus the risk-free rate, which is 6% in this example, divided by the standard deviation. It's called the Sharpe ratio. In this example, we have these Sharpe ratios. Here, real numbers, by the way, guys. You can see that Dr. Reddy is negative. Now, negative Sharpe ratio doesn't make sense at all. ये तो ऐसी बात होगा negative PE ratio, right? Price to earning ratio, negative. Mr. Warren Buffett says that PE ratio should be as low as possible, but should not be negative, of course. Negative PE ratio doesn't make sense at all. So यहाँ पर भी same चीज, negative Sharpe ratio doesn't make sense at all. So सारे negatives को zero कर दिया, यहाँ पर एक ही था, बाकी सारे हमारे exactly same है. We do a proper weighted average and we can actually calculate the portfolio weight of these companies. It's simple weighted average, which is basically, मैं एक example देता हूँ, 0.67 divided by the sum of all these is the portfolio weight of Titan, for example, right? And that's how we create an investment portfolio through optimizing the Sharpe ratio. One of the methods that asset managers use. यहाँ तक तो हमने बात कर लिया core fundamental analysis, right? Cool. We have a few more minutes. I'll cover a few more aspects here before we move to the Q&A, right? By the way, guys, if you have any questions, please keep writing those questions. In the end, we'll cover all of them. ठीक है ना? ये तो सारी चीज़ हो गई जो फंडामेंटल एनालिस्ट जो करते हैं, जो जितने जो पायनियर्स जो हैं इस फील्ड में, उन लोगों ने हिस्टोरिकली जो बिल्ड किया है. But with the changing dynamics, now there is a very important need of using some sort of technical analysis and sentiment analysis as well, especially for the market entry conditions, right? And that's where we can actually look for using some sort of technical indicators and sentiment indicators along with fundamentals. This is basically the new steps that we need to follow now. The first thing is doing fundamental analysis along with technical and sentiment analysis. The second is market timing, which is screener back testing. आपने सारी चीजें बोल दी, बट मुझे कब खरीदना चाहिए? वेरी वेरी फ्रिक्वेंटली आस्क्ड क्वेश्चन. विल अंडरस्टैंड दिस. देन कम्स द एग्जिट स्ट्रैटेजी. अभी लोग बोलते हैं कि यार आई डोंट हैव एनी एग्जिट स्ट्रैटेजी, आई जस्ट इन्वेस्ट. ये यार बिल्कुल अननेसेसरी, मतलब बिल्कुल इलॉजिकल स्टेटमेंट है. वी शुड ऑलवेज हैव एन एग्जिट strategy in our mind. It can be long term it is actually long term investment as well. अगर long term investment आप बोल रहे हो तो it will be say 5 years, 3 years. There has to be a goal behind it. See, you are investing your money for specific things. It cannot be just wealth creation, right? अगर वो wealth creation भी होता है तो eventually कुछ तो उसका exit strategy सोचो, या फिर some sort of rebalancing at least. So that's the third thing. Last thing, as I already mentioned, rebalancing and risk management, which is portfolio optimization. So these are the four main things that we consider if we start integrating technical analysis and sentiment analysis as well with fundamental. The first thing is stock selection. Second is market timing through backtesting. Third thing is having a proper exit strategy. It can be intraday, it can be BTST, which is also called buy today, sell tomorrow. It can be swing trading, it can be positional, it can be long term. The last thing is rebalancing and risk management, which is portfolio optimization. Cool. So let's screen some stocks and do backtesting. I think by now all of you guys have already signed up at Tradomate.one. अगर आपने नहीं किया है, it is in the chat box. Let me just do it again. Just 1 second. Paste the link over here again. अगर आप में से नहीं किया है, please do it, because we are going to learn a lot of things here of how we do analysis here. Please don't write done here, guys. बहुत ज़्यादा spam हो जाएगा. Cool. just sign up and that's it. So this is the platform. It's free of course, so you can just do it. Anyways, so what is the main focus here? The main focus here is to screen stocks and do backtesting. Now, this screening will be focused on not only fundamental analysis but also some aspect of technical analysis and sentiment analysis. ठीक है ना? ये चीज आप please दिमाग में रखिए. Now let's come to the platform. Can you see the Tradomate platform, Gula? और still मेरा presentation दिख रहा है?
No, I can see the platform.
Cool. So I'll just directly go to the start screening for free. I'll click here, and over here, let's just directly go to the create your own screen. Just to give you a quick context, guys, on the left hand side, on the right hand side, you can see some words. These are not random words. These are exact words which are being covered in the news media. For example, people are talking about rare earth, because rare earth minerals के ऊपर काफी बात हो रही है. Siemens Energy, right? Bharat Bandh, right? These are some of the news over here. And if you want to track stocks based on only news, you can just refer to this particular link, which is view all news. You'll see all the stocks which are in news. And again, I just keep it on you. Please keep exploring. Let's come back to this thing. I'm very interested to explore or do my own screening. I'll just click on this button, which is create your own screen. Right. अभी क्या क्या चीजें हमको करना था? The first thing is fundamental analysis, right? So ठीक है, क्या कर सकते हैं हम? The first thing that I would do is say I want I'll just write. So by the way, guys, this is a GenAI. I would say this particular search bar supports GenAI thing as well. So you can just write a normal plain English sentence. So I'll just write, say, I want stocks with positive revenue, right? Let's start with that. Positive revenue. It's a part of fundamental analysis. That's the first thing. Second is, guys, by the way, अगर आपने इसके बारे में सुना है, something called Pietrowski score. अगर आपने already सुना है तो अच्छी बात है. नहीं सुना तो please, whenever just after this particular webinar, just check it out. It's basically a score which is calculated by adding some fundamental metrics, right? And revenue margin, I think, is one of their metric. Anyways, so the first thing is total revenue greater than 0. Second is I'm interested in say growing stocks with growing revenue. ठीक है ना? मुझे यार सिर्फ ग्रेटर देन 0 नहीं चाहिए, मुझे ये भी चाहिए कि भाई शुड बी ग्रोइंग विद टाइम. देन ओनली आई कैन सी कि यार इट्स अ गुड कंपनी. Third thing is Mr. Warren Buffett, P ratio less than 30. अगर आप लोग फॉलो करते हैं वॉरेन बुफे को तो आपको ऑलरेडी पता होगा कि why I'm using this particular metric. These are some fundamental metrics. Now let's add some technical metrics as well. One of the most used metric, technical indicator, is RSI, Relative Strength Index. It's basically a technical indicator to capture a trend, right? So RSI say less than 50, right? And the last thing here is I want to understand the sentiment as well. So stocks with positive sentiment in last 3 days. Cool. मैंने क्या क्या चीज ली है? The first thing is annual revenue is greater than 0. Right? I can actually make some changes over here as well. But anyways, I'll just keep it like this only. The second is the revenue is increasing. The third thing is the P ratio is less than 30. Right? The fourth thing is RSI is less than 50. I'm interested to buy some I would say undervalued stocks here, right? The last thing is, which is sentiment. What we are doing here is basically we are extracting news of all the stocks for in last 3 days. We are seeing if the sentiment behind this news is positive or not. So I'll just go ahead. Last 3 days news, sentiment is positive. Say I'm interested in all sorts of categories. Sources सारे ले रखे हैं. Money control is the most important here. And say impact, just say suppose all impact. You might be interested in only high impact, which is basically the news which directly influences the stock prices. For now, let's just consider all of them. Now let's do say all stocks, right? And run filter. Now मैंने क्यों all stocks किया है? There are more than 8,000 listed companies in India, by the way, if we combine both NSE and BSE. All stocks पे करना results in a lot of companies unnecessarily, but मैंने इतनी strict conditions लगाई है. You can see that there are only 16 companies over here. Now these companies are pretty good in fundamentals. They are not heavily overvalued. They are quite undervalued as of now. RSI, the technical indicator, is also showing, also supporting the buy condition, and the news are also positive. So we are covering three main aspects here. These are the 16 companies that we can see over here: Senco Gold, Bank of Baroda, Coal India, etc., etc. Now, ये सारे तो हमने बात कर ली कि screening, right? This is again, guys, this is a free tool. Please keep on exploring. I'll give you a homework as well after
Ritvik,
this.
they would like a little more detailed explanation on the condition 5, on the news condition.
Cool. I'm pretty sure that you're fine with the first four conditions. I'll quickly go through the first four and then relate with the fifth one. The first three are fundamental analysis. Fourth is technical analysis, right? So basically, दोनों aspect लिए हमने. Now, fundamental analysis and technical analysis are incomplete in today's dynamics without considering the sentiment analysis. I'm interested in all the stocks with positive news sentiment in last 3 days. If I say give an example of say angel broking, what do you think? Angel broking का positive news आया है अभी? नहीं आया है. Why? Because Jane Street का एक scam हुआ है. इतना सब कुछ चीजें हुई. All the brokers, angel broking actually saw a significant downfall after that, right? So angel broking would not be coming here, of course, right? But there would be some companies जिनका कुछ positive news आया है, कुछ positive sentiments आया है. It might be related to some tariff things between US and India. It might be related to some industry things. Can be something into the company specific XYZ, right? So this is exactly the fifth condition, which is basically capturing the sentiment of this particular stocks which are covered in news in last 3 days. With this, I have these 16 companies in front of me. Now you might be saying that yes, I got these 16 companies, but did this philosophy work well in the past? यही आएगा क्वेश्चन. मैंने तो बोल दिया कि भाई इंक्लूड फंडामेंटल एनालिसिस, टेक्निकल एनालिसिस एंड सेंटिमेंट, बट आपने कर भी दिया इंक्लूड, अच्छी बात है, बट ये क्या काम करेगा? Of course, it's a very genuine question, right? That's why we have something called backtesting inside Screener as well. Just go here. Guys, I'm assuming that you guys are actually doing this with me. तभी आपको समझ में आएगा. If you are not doing this with me, as I mentioned in the beginning, please open your laptop or computer and open Tradomate.one, sign up, and then do these activities with me. You'll actually see a lot of good results over here. Anyways, let's come back. So these are the condition. I'll go here. I'll just select 100 iterations, which is I want to backtest the exact same thing for the last 100 days. Let me explain it again. If I ran exact same screen in last 100 days on a daily basis, what uh, what are all the stocks which would have been filtered with this particular screen? Point number one. Point number two, what were the returns of these stocks, right? So it's exactly what we do at backtesting. I'll just click on backtesting. Let me just first save it. Say IIT Guwahati webinar screen, right? Now we'll understand the importance of backtesting. For that reason, I want you guys to do it with me. It's not just a webinar. It's sort of a workshop for you guys. Because I know that आप लोग का पूरा boot camp खत्म हो गया. It's a very good practical exposure. So just do it 100 iterations. Let's do backtesting, right? You'll see the backtested results over here. Now I'm not interested in say 1 day. I'm interested in 1 week return, right? Which is the best stock considering the 5-day win rate. This is which is basically Avas Financiaries Limited is the best stock. Bearings is the best sector, and the best weekday for me is Wednesday. Very interesting. Anyways, let me come back to let's check this particular bubble chart. Now I can. It's very आप लोग तो IIT के आप लोग को तो समझ में आ जाएगा easily, but yeah, it's basically the bigger the size of the bubble, then the higher the number of occurrences of that particular stock in this screen historically. And it's a simple chart of on the x-axis we have win rate, on the y-axis we have the average return. So we want to create a screen in a way that we get a very big bubble somewhere here on the top right. अगर ऐसा कुछ आता है, then it's a very good screen, guys. Over here, we can see that's not that good. The overall win rate is somewhere around 60%. We can actually improve it to more than 70, 80% as well. But yeah, you can see that some of the stocks, for example, SBI had 14 occurrences in last 100 days in this particular screen. It means that SBI के साथ exactly same चीज हुई है. Revenue is greater than zero, of course SBI का है. Revenue is growing, of course SBI का है. P ratio less than 30, RSI less than 50, and some positive news in last 3 days. SBI के साथ exact same condition हुई है 14 times. And the good thing, the best thing here is that the win rate is more than 90%, which is basically, I would say, it's a great stock for this particular screen, right? So more than 90% of the cases, when I invested in SBI, just following the exact same screen, I would have made more than 2% in just 1 week itself, right? For this stock. But if you go to the other side, for example, Aditya Birla, 17 times currency, win rate is less. It's less than 25%. 1/4 से become win rate, and the average 1 day, 5-day return, 1 week return is less, like around -4%. So it's pathetic for this particular stock. On the right hand side, you can see the normal distribution, the distribution of all the different return metrics with respect to the frequency, right? 1 day and 5-day, you can actually put it over here. But if you go to the deep dive, you'll have a detailed information of all these particular metrics. This is basically the historical, I would say, performance of this particular screen on different weekdays and months. This is on occurrences. You can see that all stocks are over here. I'll just sort it with, say, number of times they have occurred. So NTPC is actually showing a great occurrence of 30 in last 100 days. But unfortunately, the win rate, 1 day win rate and 5-day win rate for NTPC is not that good. It's less than a coin toss. So अगर NTPC आता भी है ना ये screen में, I'm not going to invest in this stock, right? So can you relate it with the investment portfolio creation? If you can, actually, you are learning with me. Now let me just check out some good stock. For example, Infosys, right? 28 occurrences, 75% win rate for 1 week. Very soon we'll have a customized win rate as well for the users. You might not be interested in only 1 day and 5-day. You might be interested in, say, 3 years or 2 years or 6 months, for example. We'll have this customization option over here that you can actually have that over here. अभी के लिए तो 1 day and 5-day है. This product is built for traders. Of course, we are focusing more on 1 day, 5 day returns and intraday more than long term. But eventually, if we get a lot of requests, if you guys use this feature a lot, then we would love to extend it to say 6 months or 1 year as well. So you can see that all these companies are green, and in the end, if you just scroll down till the end, you can see that the overall summary, we have the 5 day win rate of just more than 60%, not a very good screen, a decent one. 1 day is not that great as well. So we need to keep on working on this particular screen. So for that, I'll just come back here and start writing and do multiple iterations to keep on working on the conditions in a way that I have a better screen. So yeah, that's I don't want to paint any, I would say, just to overload you with a lot of information. This platform is completely free of cost. Please keep on exploring it. We'll come back to our presentation. And in the end, because we have partnered with IIT Guwahati, we won't be charging for any of these features for next few weeks at least to all the people who are from IIT Guwahati and like who joined this particular webinar. And there's a very good, I would say, very interesting contest that we are doing. Thanks to Gulnar for planning it, which is basically if you create a winning strategy, we will offer you some exciting prizes. You just need to run backtesting for 100 iterations, which is basically 100 days, which is it's just close to 3 months, a bit more than 3 months. And the backtesting results should have at least 10 companies in deep dive section. If you remember the second, I would say, part of the ribbon, right over here, deep dive. And then the screens will be evaluated on the basis of the win rate and average returns. Please share the screenshot of all the backtested results along with the screen URLs, whatever you create. Maximum 3 screens are allowed per person, and we'll end this contest on 9 p.m. Thursday. Winners will be announced on Instagram on Friday. Keep on exploring the platform. It's free of cost. It's your playground now. Make sure you use both fundamental technical analysis and not only these two things, but also but also the sentiment analysis to build something great here. I think that's it. Let's move to the Q&A session now.
Just 1 second. So everybody, I've put my email ID and contact at the Tradomate email ID. These are two email IDs that you can send your screenshots in. And please be mindful of the deadline. We have previously received in our different partnerships multiple winning screens, but unfortunately they were beyond the deadline, so we could not consider them. And we have exciting prizes. So please make sure that 9 p.m. Thursday, you are able to send your entries, and do follow us on Instagram and YouTube, because we put a lot of content in terms of AI, in terms of finance, and in terms of tech. Sure, Vaibhav, what I'll do is I will share all the rules with Vansh, and he can share it in your communities so you can get back to him if you have any doubts. All right? Because we want to start with the Q&A. Thank you so much for understanding. We have couple of questions, Ritvik. There are two people who have asked on the Q&A session. One is, would you explain the concept of trading comms and transaction comms as discussed? That's the first question. And the second is, Piotrowski score, as mentioned, is based on liquidity as compared to previous year. This was the second question. I'm sorry if I mispronounced the score name.
Cool. Perfect. I cannot see the second question. Anyways.
It's in Q&A option of Zoom.
Anyways, ठीक है. आपने पहले बोला था the first question, so I can repeat the first question.
Would you
I cannot see
explain the concept of trading comms and transaction comms?
Cool. ठीक है. Let's consider the example of say Tradomate. Tradomate is a startup, right? And suppose you are a venture capital fund. ठीक है ना? You want to invest in Tradomate. Now, there are two things that you will consider while investing. Even like after doing all the due diligence, you are convinced that the business is good. आपको आएगा कि यार what's the exact check size that you would look for, and the second is the what is the valuation that you will offer, right? For the valuation aspect, you might be considering some similar companies. For example, कुछ और भी similar companies है Tradomate की तरह. उनके numbers आप देखेंगे कि यार उन लोग का कितना revenue है, उनका कितना earnings है, उनका कितना total assets है, कितना कैश फ्लो हो रहा है, कितना यूजर्स हैं, एक्स वाई जेड, एंड ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ विच you will do evaluation of Tradomate, right? By doing some sort of multiples analysis, जो मैंने उसमें बताया था example, right? Second is you might be interested in कि यार similar companies, for example Tradomate है, Tradomate जैसी और companies के कितने transactions हुए, कितने और companies में investments हुए हैं, और वो investments कितने valuation पे हुए, उन सब का average हम लेंगे, so मैं Tradomate को भी उतना offer करूंगा. This is exactly what is trading comms and transaction comms. If I'm say interested in mergers and acquisition, as an investment banker, I'm doing analysis of two companies merger, prospective merger. Then in that case, the first thing that I might be doing is I will be considering just to calculate the valuation of one of the companies. I might be interested in doing analysis on similar companies. What are the revenues? What are the EBITDA, EBIT, profit after tax, profit before tax of these companies, related companies, calculate some ratios, and then eventually come to the valuation of the company. Second is I might be interested in other companies which have similar companies which have done some mergers and acquisition. And then through that, उस टाइम पे कितना valuation उनको मिला था, उसका average करके मैं करता हूँ. So these are the two ways, which is trading comms and transaction comms. I hope I answered your question. If you have any other question, you can just write it on the chat box. Second is Piotrowski score. So Piotrowski score is basically focused on multiple aspects. It's not only financial situation, it considers multiple things. और सारी चीजें ऐड करके जो एक स्कोर आता है, वो एक स्कोर हम लोग कंसिडर करते हैं. द बेस्ट स्कोर इज 9, राइट? द वर्स्ट स्कोर इज ऑफ कोर्स 0, राइट? वी कंसिडर a good score to be between, I think, 7 to 9, right? 6 or 7, yeah, I would say 6 to 9 is a good score. 6 के नीचे is not that good, right? Now यहाँ पे जो भी सारे मेट्रिक्स हैं, अगर इफ से मैं उसके एग्जैक्ट मुझे नहीं पता क्या क्या चीज़ें करते हैं, बट जस्ट कम टू दिस पार्ट. So if we see all the metrics over here, positive net income, positive earnings, cash flow, right? Then we are talking about the cash flow, we are talking about the assets, which is basically efficiency of using the assets. We are talking about the cash flows, we are talking about the leverage, liquidity, source of funds, all important metrics, all important ratios that any fundamental analyst would consider for any specific country or company, is something that we consider for Piotrowski score. And as I mentioned, it's basically it ranges between 0 to 9.
Okay.
Cool.
I have also,
The next question is sorry,
I've put the other
okay.
4 questions I've gotten in the chat.
Here for a sharp ratio, how did you calculate the potential return? Okay, cool. That's a great question, guys, by the way. Potential return can be calculated through 3 different ways. The first one is doing some sort of financial modeling and calculating the future or predicting the future returns. It can be done through some regression analysis. Historically, ऐसा रहा, future में ऐसा होगा. That's one way. Second is calculating the historical compounded annual growth rate, CAGR, and उसी को हम मानेंगे कि यार यही फ्यूचर में भी रहने वाला है, मतलब assuming that, and then we consider that. The third thing is building our models, intrinsic models for the returns calculation. कुछ लोग करते हैं, basically there's something called cost of equity, right? A very famous model called capital asset pricing model. CFA अगर आप लोग प्रिपेयर कर रहे हैं तो शायद आपको पता होगा. कैपिटल एसेट प्राइसिंग मॉडल से बेसिकली कॉस्ट ऑफ इक्विटी निकलता है, विच इज बेसिकली दिस इज द रिक्वायर्ड रिटर्न. इतना रिटर्न तो मुझे चाहिए, कंसिडरिंग द लेवल ऑफ रिस्क दैट आई एम टेकिंग बाय इन्वेस्टिंग इन यू. I need this much return at least. So that's called cost of equity. So on the cost of equity, they calculate some premium and they multiply that premium to calculate the expected return on the stock. So these are the 3 main ways of calculating the return. Mostly what investment bankers do is do prediction analysis using some sort of regression models to estimate the future returns of the company. Cool. Second question is, how does it help in live market like heat? How does it helps in live market like heat map? Can you please elaborate, Gulnar? What is it?
Yeah, Nitin,
With some specific condition or something?
Nitin, would you please elaborate on that?
Cool. Nitin, can you just write it on the chat box here? We'll come back to this question again. In this, any broker API you use to run the website, or is it a separate entity that sells the APIs? Like दोनों चीज नहीं है basically. So it's basically an analysis platform mostly focused for people like you who are interested in fundamental analysis, technical analysis, sentiment analysis, such that in the end we help you take some intelligent trading decisions. That's the tagline as well, which is basically hashtag trade intelligently. We are not supporting any live transactions so far. So no integrations with any brokers. So we don't sell any APIs as well. We don't sell any investment recommendations. It's an analysis platform altogether. The news screener that you have, is it the feature of the APIs itself, or you scrape the news and then use the classifier or to classify high impact? Classification, I'm not the right person to answer this. I'm very sorry for that. I'm the finance guy. I think अभी तक तो आपको समझ आ गया होगा. So I talk about the numbers. I talk about I talk about money. So I don't know exact classification model that we used. We have some data scientists, some brilliant minds behind it. But I can actually talk about the sources of news. So all main sources like Money Control, Economic Times, Live Mint, NDTV Profit, Business Today, etc. We get information from all these news directly. We have some vendors to provide these APIs to extract this news. But CAPM gives the required return and not the expected return. हाँ, so मैंने जो बताया हर्ष के CAPM is basically the cost of equity, which is the required rate of return. People calculate some premium and multiply some that premium on CAPM to have an expected or projection of that particular company's return in future. Right. So I'm not just saying that use CAPM directly. CAPM multiply by some premium. Cool. Any other questions, guys?
Yes, Nitin has commented. I'm just typing it out. Yeah, this one.
Like I'm working on options and I need a precise set of conditions for particular strike price. So if you can pick a
Nitin, would you
particular
like to
spread.
come,
So,
like, unmute yourself and
so we,
explain?
no, I understand. I understood this question. So basically, Nitin, we don't have the options data. We just have the cash market equity data only. Eventually, like we'll have the options data, like open interest and whatever, like strike prices and other things that you mentioned on the platform as well. So it's for any sort of cash market related analysis, only you can use the platform so far.
Any other question, guys? Okay. Let's just wait for 1 more minute in case somebody's typing. Then with that,
And by that time, I think keep exploring the platform. It's a free tool. I'm very happy to tell you that we are not charging anything on using this tool, and we are getting a very good traction for last few months. And I'm pretty sure that you guys would find it very useful as well. How bank make online money? I couldn't understand this question. How banks make online money? I think. Can you please elaborate, Sumant? Again,
Someone,
I
would you
can.
like to unmute yourself and ask the question, please? It would help us understand it better.
So the business model of banks has basically they uh, get deposits from investors like us or savers like us, and eventually lend that money to other people, to borrowers, right? And they make money through the spread of that interest, right? The money the interest that they charge to the borrowers is much higher than the interest that they pay to the depositors. If this is the question. Any other question, guys?
I think that's about it. Thank you so much for joining, and we look forward to
And we
your
have all
mail.
the information. Sorry, just one more thing. Someone asked this question that he's not clear on the exact, I would say, conditions for this contest. So we have all the information in front of you guys. These are the 6 main terms. Please go through it. Gulnar, over to you.
Yeah, there's one question, are there any resources to prepare for CFA other than provided by the institute?
Okay, so I use something called Schwezer. And that's it. And for level 1, again, बहुत पहले किया था 2014 में. For level 1, I only referred Schwezer. For level 2 also, I only referred Schwezer. For level 3, I use the main curriculum ka books, as per I can remember. आई थिंक अभी तो काफ़ी सारा चेंज हो गया। हमारे टाइम पे तो ऑफलाइन एग्जाम होता था, वी हैड टू राइट। आई थिंक अभी तो शायद ऑनलाइन हो गया। सो एक बार थोड़ा सा और किसी और से भी पूछ लेना, समवन हु हैज रिसेंटली क्लियर्ड ऑल द एग्जाम्स, बट दैट्स हाउ आई डिड इट।
Okay then. Thank you so much, Ritvik, for joining. Thank you, most importantly, IIT Guwahati's team. You guys had organized a very lovely webinar. And thank you, most of all the participants. You guys stayed till the very end, asked us questions. We have a WhatsApp icon on our website. So if you have any doubts or any questions about how our platform works, or if you'd like to know more about it, please do click on it. Somebody from the team will immediately get back to you. And have a lovely day, guys. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you so much. Bye bye. Have a nice day, guys.
Yeah.